Hello, students. Today we are going to do lesson 9 from 1R reading level. Now, what we have is our learning goals. Today we are going to have it where you will read more of Mr. Putter and Tabby Pick the Pears. And today we're going to focus on chapter 4. And I have the book right here with me. And what we're going to do is chapter 4 is titled Juicy Days. Today's chapter 4 agenda. Specifically, we'll review first, before we begin reading chapter 4, the word strategies to use in case you come up to an unfamiliar word in the text. And then you're going to retell the story by answering comprehension questions and learn new vocabulary words. So today's 3 learning assignments that you will turn in for me, that I assigned to you, and then you're going to turn into your teacher in their student portfolio or in your student binder. It's going to be chapter 4 story element chart, 2 comprehension questions, and your homework chart assignment, including with that 3 sentences using 1 adverb in each. Okay, right here are our word attack strategies. So when you see a word that is unfamiliar, you are going to stop if something does not look right, sound right, or make sense. Look at the pictures and see if they can give you any context, any clues as to what is happening. Now, this is the word we're going to focus on today. P-L-A-N. What is that word? Well, say the first letter sound. The first letter is P, and it sounds as Now we are going to blend. Say the first 2 letters. P and L make pool, pull. Cover part of the word. Chunk and look for parts you know. A-N. We know that's an. Think of a word that looks the same and rhymes. Man, man. Rhymes with pull and plan. Whoa, good. Also try a different sound for the vowel. Again, there are long vowel sounds, short vowel sounds, and see out of the 2 what would make the most sense for your specific word. And you got it. We just figured out that this is plan. Okay, this right here, we are introducing now chapter 4. So Mr. Putter and Tabby Pick the Pears, chapter 4, Juicy Days. Look at the drawings around. What do you notice? There are, I spy apple pie. I spy cider. I spy a bucket of apples. I spy cinnamon sticks. I spy an apple slice. I spy apple jelly. Wow, that's really cool. Okay, so I'm going to be having it structured as this. I will read to you the chapter. However, what's going to happen is this needs to be answered as you are reading the book with me. So you have to identify character, setting, and plot. Who were the characters? Where was the setting? What was the problem? And what was the solution? This chart needs to be completed in your student portfolio. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is I have the book right here, and it is Mr. Putter and Tabby Pick the Pears. We are going to be reading the last chapter of this book since we already read chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. Now, what is going to happen is I'm going to read this to you. However, as I read, you need to follow along because then I'm going to hold the book for a little bit after I'm done reading so that you have a turn reading the book section that we're working on independently, okay? So, Juicy Days, chapter 4. The next afternoon, Mr. Putter and Tabby were sitting on their porch. They were feeling sorry for themselves because they still had no pear jelly. Okay, now it's your turn to read it. All right. Suddenly, Mr. Putter's neighbor, Mrs. Teaberry, and her good dog, Zeke, came by. Mrs. T-Berry was carrying a big basket, a very big basket. She said to Mr. Putter, "It is amazing. When I woke up this morning, there were dozens of apples in my front yard, and I don't even have an apple tree." Okay, so go ahead. Now it's your turn to read the section we just read. Okay, you can pause the video and then come back. Remember the strategies to use if you come up to an unfamiliar word. Look at the pictures and see if they can help you understand what is happening in the text. Okay. Let's try it this way. Mr. Putter looked at Tabby. "Amazing," he said. "So I made an apple feast," said Mrs. T-Berry. In the basket, she had 14 apple turnovers, 5 apple pies, 6 apple jellies, and a gallon of hot apple cider with cinnamon sticks. So you can read this part on your own. And then when you're finished, read this part on your own using our word strategies. Oh, sorry. Holding it a little funky. Okay, let's go on. Mr. Putter and Tabby ate juicy things for days and days, and when he was finishing the last apple pie, Mr. Putter had an idea about those pears still on his pear tree. He would wait for them all to fall off. Okay, so read this section. Good. And now read this section up here. Excellent. Then he would get his slingshot and start zinging. Okay, now it's your turn. Read this part that I just read to you. Now let's look at the pictures. Why do you think he's going to wait? And then get a slingshot? Yep, because who do you think is going to help him then? Who do you think is going to make the treats and everything? Yeah, Mrs. T-Berry, because the slingshot will be aimed where all the pears would fall off in her yard. And just like she did with the apples, she made all the apple treats for Mr. Putter and the cat Tabby. So he's hoping that if he waits and does the same thing with the pears, she'll make some pear goodies for him too. All right, boys and girls, you did an amazing job. So what we're gonna do now is the chart here. Okay, so you are responsible for now coming up with understanding who were the characters, where was the setting, what was the problem, what was the solution. You need to have this chart created into the student portfolio or into your student binder for your teacher to check over, because the story elements is what we are focusing on now. Okay, here are your answers. So please check back to see that you wrote something similar to this. Characters, Tabby the cat and Mr. Putter. Setting, it is fall in Mr. Putter's backyard, and we also are in Mr. Putter's house with all the goodies, the apple treats. Plot. Problem, Mrs. T-Berry, his neighbor, did not know where the apples came from. But the solution, Mrs. T-Berry shared her apple feast with Mr. Putter and Tabby, or her apple fest. She made a big apple party, essentially with all the goodies, the apple goodies. She made, the beverage of apple cider. She made some food and goodie treats, turnovers. They're very delicious. And now let's continue. You are going to complete this in your student portfolio as well. These are your 2 comprehension questions. Where did Mrs. T-Berry get the apples? Describe Mrs. T-Berry using evidence from the text. Is she nice? Is she not nice? Why is she nice? Why is she not nice? Think about how you would describe her personality. Okay. Now, for here, this is our vocabulary from chapter 4. We have it where the vocabulary is categorized in 4 different sections. So we have our suffixes, 3-syllable words, tricky words, and vocabulary, new vocabulary that you learned. So suffixes, we have suddenly, amazing, finishing, carrying, 3-syllable words, Mrs. Teaberry, turnovers, cinnamon, tricky words, neighbor, idea, Zeke, vocabulary, dozens, gallon, feast. Okay. Now right here, what you're going to do is you're going to identify the suffixes in each word. Suffixes, suddenly. What is the suffix in that word? Yep, it's the E, and that's the Y, so the E sound. Amazing, what is the suffix here? The ing sound. Finishing, ing sound. Carrying, ing sound. Good job. Okay, we have it here where these are your 3-syllable words. So we're going to clap it out, and then we are going to move on. So, Mrs. Teaberry. Mrs. Teaberry. Mrs. Okay, well, here's the thing about this one. The reason why Mrs. Teaberry is in the 3-syllable word category is because of her last name. So do not include Mrs. Just let's focus on her last name, Teaberry. 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 Good. Turnovers. 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 It's like a little dough cake. So you have the pastry dough around the apple filling. And usually they're served warm. Cinnamon. 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 3 syllables. Tricky words. Neighbor. You say it. Good job. Idea. You say it. Good job. Zeke. You say it. Good job. What letter makes the A sound in the word neighbor? Good. It's not just one letter, right? It is actually 2. So EI, the vowel team of EI, neighbor, make the A sound. Vocabulary. Create 1 sentence for each word. Okay. Dozens. Okay. A dozen is the quantity, the number of 12. Dozens means that there are many groupings of 12 items in each group. So there were dozens of apple treats. It's an expression really saying that there are many apple treats. Gallon. You might be familiar if you go to the store and you will see that milk is sold by the gallon or a half a gallon. Really, it is, again, a quantity to measure a liquid. And then we have it where feast. That is usually a big variety of food. So there were dozens of apple treats. I bought a gallon of milk. I went to the feast with my friend. All right, here's your homework, class. So what you have here is you're going to read The Man in Our Town. It is on the next slide. You're going to categorize each suffix using this format. Notice how the first row has it mostly filled in for you. This is how I want you to do it. Your chart has it where it's the root word. Then there are 4 suffixes, ed, ing, es/s. Okay, so I did an example with the root word jump because that is one of the words in the Man in Our Town. So you're going to look at that and see what exactly would be the right suffix for each suffix for scratch. So they, in the reading, are going to provide you with the ED one, but then it's up to you. Your responsibility is to then create the word with the suffixes ing, e, and es or s, depending on the grammatics of it. And I'll give you a hint, for scratch, it will be es. Okay. Now, after you complete this chart, you're going to write 3 sentences using 1 adverb in each sentence. For example, the cheetah runs quickly to its prey. Okay, here is the man in our town. You are going to, again, read this right here, the man in our town. You are then going to identify the words that have suffixes. In this case, jumped is an example, and you need to find the other word that uses a suffix with the ed. Then you're going to make this chart in your student portfolio. You're going to then fill in the blanks, and then you're going to write 3 sentences using 1 adverb in each sentence. An adverb, again, ends with the suffix ly, and it describes how or how much. You guys did a very good job. I am very proud of what I'm seeing. Keep up the great work. Bye.